Today is day 253 of Blender, and I'm going to do another 3D text with Blender using this font that I got from dafont.com. I'm going to go and download that, and then open it up, and then get it out of the zip file into my desktop. Alright, now in Blender, I'm going to click on General, and I'm going to click on Geometry Nodes at the top, hide the spreadsheet, then click on New for a new geometry node system, disconnect the input from the output, and then I'll do Shift A and get a string to curves node because that is actually what I want to be outputted into the viewport. But I still don't see anything in the viewport, and that's because I haven't set anything as my string. So I think today I'm going to go with tiger, and then it's flat, so I want to do Shift A and get a transform node and put that in here and change the rotation X value to be 90, and that's just basically saying, hey, I want you to rotate 90 degrees along the red line, the red axis, which is the X axis. Alright, and then from there I would want to give it some faces. So I'll do Shift A, get a fill curve node, and change the fill type to n-gons because it makes the vertices nicer and less messy, right? So then after that, I'm going to add some thickness, which is where the 3D part comes in. So I'll do Shift A and get an extrude mesh node, an extrude mesh node, and then change the offset value, which is how thick it's going to be, to something like 0.1. So maybe something like that. And then if I go and look at the back though, I notice that it's hollow and it's open on the inside. So I'll just take Shift A and get a join geometry node to join the extrude mesh node and also the fill curve node into the geometry. And then it's filled in the front and in the back. Alright, and then I'll do Shift A and get a set material node so that I could give it a material, select the first one, and then back to the first node, which is a string to curves. I'm going to go to the F, I'm going to go to the folder, go to my desktop, and I'm going to click on Lintel Bubbled Regular, or actually Lintel Regular, open that font, and then I see it happening here. And this is what it looks like. And so if I want to make it a little bit thicker, I can do so. So it looks something like this. Either way, that's what it's going to look like. So 0.2 might be good. All right, for the color, to see it better, I'm going to give it a backdrop, like a background. So I'll go to layout at the top, and then I'll do Shift A, mesh, and add a plane. I'll do S to scale the plane, and then 3 to scale 3 meters, G to grab it, and then X to grab along the red line, which is the red axis. And then I might just scale it a little bit, so S and then scale it to like this. And then in edit mode at the top left corner, I'm going to select edge select the back edge, and then I'll press E to extrude the edge and then Z to extrude along the Z axis, which is the blue line. So something like this. And then back in object mode, I'm going to add a modifier, which is the wrench icon over here, add a bevel to the edge, increase the amount and the segments so that it looks like a backdrop, and then apply the little arrow here. If I zoom in, I notice that there are lines here, so if I just do right click and shade smooth, the lines are gone because I basically smoothed out the mesh. Then I'll probably do S and then X to scale along the red line, the X axis, and then everything looks good. So now I'm going to go to shading at the top. I'm going to select the tiger, and I don't know, maybe I'll just do either a gradient or the same color. Maybe I can do a gradient, so I'll do Shift A and get a geometry node. I'll do Shift A and get a separate XYZ node. I'll do Shift A and get a color ramp. And then finally, I'll do Shift A and get a map range node. And so what I kind of want to do with these is I first want to take the geometry, which is basically this right here, the tiger, and I want to take its current position and kind of connect that to the vector of the separate XYZ node. And so what this node does, ideally, it just separates. I mean, I just think that it separates all of the letters. And then what happens is that um I'm trying to get a gradient, right? So either the gradient could be like vertical, so like left and right, or it could be I'm sorry, horizontal, like left and right. So that would be X, because X is the red line, and we can see that it's like horizontal. Or it could be vertical, which is the Z axis, which is up and down the blue line at the top over here. I want my gradient to be vertical, so I'm going to use a Z and connect that to the value here. And then what that does, the map range, I'm not even sure what this does. I mean, it's just like, I guess it maps. I don't even know, honestly. I have to do more research into that. but then I can take the results and put that into the factor, and then take the color of the color ramp and put that into the base color. And then now I have my gradient. Right now it's only like black and white because that's what I have, but once I change the colors, it could be something else. So for me, I think I'm gonna do maybe, let's see, where's the colors? So something like maybe this red. So I'll take the little thing, select the box, go to hex, and then paste that in here. And then I'll select this one and maybe put this kind of like an orange. And then I kind of want it to be something like the opposite, so light over here and something like this maybe. And then I can take this maybe and make it ease so that it eases in, and that's the gradient effect. All right, so if I want it to be vertical, because right now if I move this, it's like up and down, right? If I want to be vertical, all I have to do is change, why do I keep saying vertical? I mean horizontal. All I have to do is change this from being z to x and put that into the value instead. So now if I move this, it's going to go from being a gradient of a horizontal gradient, basically. But I don't want that. I want the vertical one. All right, so that's kind of what it is. The map range, I'm just assuming, I don't even know, honestly. I feel like I can't even give you an explanation. Like, I need to do research on that. But the rest of them, that's kind of what happens. I mean, I guess this just, no, I honestly can't even give an explanation. But yeah, and then the color ramp is just the colors. You connect that to the base color of the Principled BSDF, and then the output is what you see in the viewport, which is what I see right here. So now I'm going to go back into layout and go to render preview, and then kind of set up the lighting, which is almost my favorite part. I'm going to delete the light by pressing X, and then I'll do Shift A, get a light, and then area, and then I'll do GZ to bring it up, and then I'll go to Object Data Properties, which is the light bulb, and change the power to be 500. And then I'll do Shift D and then GX to grab along the X-axis, which is the red line, and kind of put one over here. And then the fun part is actually changing the colors. So I could actually do something like this. What if I do something like yellow? No, something like this maybe, and then take this one. I could do something like this, but then it kind of distorts the gradient, so maybe not, that's not the best. I'm trying to think. Yeah, that kind of distorts the gradient. So I mean, I could leave it to be white, and then I could just do Shift D and then RX90 so that it rotates 90 degrees along the x-axis, and then just do GZ to bring it down, and then GX to move it over here, GZ to bring it up, and then I guess I could maybe do GY to move it a little bit backwards so the gradient is visible. This is blue, and this is like this color, so maybe that would help. And then what I would want to do is take the backdrop and go to Material Properties, which is the dartboard icon, go to Base Color. Actually, no. Let me go to Metallic, make that 1, and then put the roughness. I think I'm going to leave the roughness to be something like this, 0.705. So that happens. I mean, if I want the gradient to really show up, what I could do is I can go to Shading, and instead of doing the Principled BSDF, I can just disconnect this, take away the Principled BSDF, and put the color into the surface. And then in render preview, it won't be affected by the lighting. So that's one thing. So I could do that, I guess. Just not sure if the colors actually match. Should there be blue, or should I make it something like red? Actually, blue does look good. And so if there's blue, there could be green or kind of this color. Just playing around with what makes it look a little bit better. I think I'm going to leave it like that. And then finally, I'm going to align my camera to the view. So to do that, I'm going to do Control Alt Numpad 0. If you don't have a numpad, you go to Edit, Preferences, Input, and you make sure that Emulate Numpad is checked on. but I do. So I'm just going to do Control Alt Numpad 0, and that's going to align my camera to the view. To get out of this view, middle mouse button. To go back into the view, Numpad 0. I'm just going to get out a little bit, move it a little bit over here, do it again. So maybe a little bit here, and I think that's fine. And I think I'm going to go with that. And also I noticed that there are shadows. So if I want to get rid of the shadows, I can go to the light and just select the shadow for both of them. And that would also work, but I'm not sure if that's kind of what I want to happen or if I do want the shadows. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, that's kind of it. Now I'm going to go to render image, and now I'm going to wait. So this is what it ends up looking like. I mean, to make it look a little bit more 3D, I can render it from another perspective, but then it doesn't really look, I can't really tell what it says because the mesh is a little There, yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it like that because if I do kind of something like this, I can't really tell that it says tiger. So, it's okay. So let me go back to the render, and I think that's good. Maybe I can take this light, and I just realized that it's not being affected by it again because I took off the principal BSDF, so that's why it looks a little bit dark in comparison to the rest of the scene. But everything's a trade-off. If you want something, you have to let go of another thing. But I think I'm gonna leave it like that, and that's it for today. Bye.